The moment that would change the history of Mt. Gox came without so much as a beep. Mark Karpelès, the CEO of what until recently had been the world's biggest Bitcoin exchange, was finally alone, save for his tabby cat, in his palatial penthouse with a panoramic view of Tokyo. It was the evening of March 7th, 2014, and Karpelès had barely slept in the week since Mt. Gox had sought bankruptcy protection, announcing that 850,000 of its bitcoins, worth some $473 million at the time and representing 7% of all bitcoins in existence then, had somehow disappeared. But how did it happen? Let's find out in this video. With protesters and camera crews swarming in front of Mt. Gox's office and the price of Bitcoin in freefall, the usually unflappable Frenchman had been confined to a self-imposed house arrest, subsisting on the buttery pastries he liked to bake and reading the hate mail that flooded in from all corners of the internet, most of it accusing him of stealing the money himself. Today, the Mt. Gox hack remains the worst disaster in Bitcoin's short history, but just how did it happen? From a distance, the world's largest Bitcoin exchange at the time looked like a towering example of renegade entrepreneurism. On the inside, according to some who were there, Mt. Gox was a messy combination of poor management, neglect, and raw inexperience. Its collapse into bankruptcy in 2014 and the disappearance of over $460 million, apparently stolen by hackers, and another $27.4 million missing from its bank accounts, came as little surprise to people who knew the Tokyo-based company's inner workings. The company, these insiders say, was essentially a reflection of its CEO and majority stakeholder, Mark Karpelès, a man who was more of a computer coder than a chief executive, and yet was sometimes distracted even from his technical duties when they were most needed. Mt. Gox was a Tokyo-based cryptocurrency exchange that operated between 2010 and 2014. It was responsible for more than 70% of Bitcoin transactions at its peak. The exchange declared bankruptcy in 2014, but it continued to be the subject of lawsuits and speculation. Jed McCaleb created the website that became the Mt. Gox Exchange. It was originally a way for enthusiasts of the card game Magic the Gathering to trade cards online. The name Mt. Gox was created as an acronym for Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. The site was transferred to Mark Karpelès in 2011 in exchange for 6 months' worth of revenue. Karpelès became the largest stakeholder and CEO. Now at its peak, Mt. Gox was considered the world's largest Bitcoin exchange. As mentioned before, it handles 70% to 80% of the trading volume. Handling so many transactions gave Mt. Gox an outsized role in determining the fate of Bitcoin. In 2013, for example, it suspended trading for several days to cool down the market. Its prominence also made it a target for hackers, and Mt. Gox experienced security problems several times during its years of operation. In 2011, hackers used stolen credentials to transfer bitcoins. That same year, deficiencies in network protocols resulted in several thousands of bitcoins being lost. In the months leading up to February 2014, customers expressed increasing frustration with problems withdrawing funds. Technical bugs prevented the company from having a firm grasp of transaction details, including uncertainty about whether bitcoins had been transferred to customers' digital wallets. This issue resulted from a bug in the Bitcoin software that allowed users to alter transaction IDs, sometimes referred to as transaction malleability. The exchange suffered a fatal blow in February 2014. In early February 2014, the exchange suspended withdrawals after claiming to have found suspicious activity in its digital wallets. The news of the suspension resulted in the price of Bitcoin plunging by 20%. The company discovered that it had lost more than 850,000 Bitcoins, which represented over 6% of Bitcoins in circulation at the time. While it was later able to locate 200,000 of the Bitcoins, the missing 650,000 Bitcoins had a profoundly destabilizing effect on the market. The value of the Bitcoins was estimated at over 450 million, with the loss pushing Mt. Gox into insolvency. It filed for bankruptcy in the Tokyo District Court and was ordered to liquidate in April 2014. Despite declaring bankruptcy nearly 6 years earlier, the final destiny of Mt. Gox still had not been determined as of early 2021. There were still lawsuits alleging fraud on the part of Mt. Gox, attempts to find the hackers, and proposals to bring back the exchange. The controversy over Mt. Gox continues in large part because the price of bitcoins went up dramatically, raising the stakes. Investigations of the 2014 fiasco revealed that the Mt. Gox private key was unencrypted and stolen back in 2011. It's unclear whether this information was obtained through a hack or with the help of an insider. From there, the culprits began skimming bitcoins from customer accounts over the next couple of years. The Mt. Gox system appeared to have interpreted the thefts as transfers to more secure addresses, leaving the company apparently oblivious to the drain. It's even possible about 80,000 was already missing when Mark Karpelès bought the exchange in 2011. Many former employees cite mismanagement and disorganization within the company. An anonymous developer revealed that the company didn't even use version control software. This industry standard tool was used to prevent colleagues from accidentally overwriting another's work if they happened to be working on the same file. Another problem was that the only person who could approve changes to the site's source code was Mark Karpelès. This meant that even important security updates and bug fixes would wait weeks for approval. Other, more public problems were already beginning to surface in 2013. In May of that year, CoinLab, a former business partner, sued Mt. Gox for $75 million, claiming breach of contract. They were supposed to take over Mt. Gox's American clientele, but due to Mt. Gox breaching their contract, this never came about. On top of that, Mt. Gox was under investigation by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security due to claims that its subsidiary was operating without a license in the U.S. Eventually, the U.S. government seized over $5 million from the firm. Shortly after the hack in 2014, Mt. Gox reportedly found 200,000 bitcoins in an old format digital wallet that the company had been using before June 2011. They promised to disperse these bitcoins to victims of the hack. However, the bitcoins have been held in trust for the creditors for the last few years since the company is under bankruptcy protection. In January of 2021, CoinLab Inc., which was responsible for handling North American transactions for Mt. Gox, reached a settlement with Nobuaki Kobayashi, the trustee of the Mt. Gox bankruptcy. In that settlement, creditors could forego continuing to trial in exchange for as much as 90% of the existing Bitcoin tied up in bankruptcy. Of course, CoinLab is only one creditor. Others are suing Mt. Gox as well, not to mention the users whose bitcoins were stolen from the platform and who are in litigation to recover some of their stolen funds. Unfortunately, there is only about 0.23 Bitcoin in custody for every Bitcoin owned to users and creditors. There are two different sets of Mt. Gox Bitcoins. First, they are the coins that were stolen and no longer controlled by Mt. Gox or its trustees. ZP Legal believes they know who stole the coins in the first place: Russian nationals. ZP Legal believes Alexander Vinnik and his exchange, BTC-E, which was also shuttered in 2017 due to fraud, was laundering the stolen bitcoins from the Mt. Gox hack and know who the hackers are. Vinnik was arrested in 2017 in Greece and was sentenced to 5 years in prison for his role in BTC-E's fraud scheme. ZP is trying to get Vinnik to cut a deal with the authorities to turn over information about his alleged hacker for the Mt. Gox hack. Second, there are coins that Mt. Gox never lost and are now being litigated over to decide who gets them as compensation. These coins are being held by the Mt. Gox trustee Nobuaki Kobayashi until litigation is complete and a compensation order is established by the lawyers and the courts to settle the matter. In June of 2021, it was announced that claimants would have until the end of the year to vote on Kobayashi's proposal to them. Now, the main lesson learned from the Mt. Gox fiasco is that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and altcoins is a whole new ballpark, far different from the currently known financial world. Bankruptcy law was not adequate for dealing with the fallout, and the shift to civil rehabilitation is an important precedent for the crypto community. 6 years have ticked by and people are still waiting to access their frozen assets. This is unacceptable and serves as a warning to the cryptocurrency community to put better structures in place for when disaster will strike. Of course, the ultimate goal is to prevent those disasters altogether, but hackers get more creative every year. Now, if you want to take the plunge and invest in cryptocurrency or leave your crypto on exchanges for a long period of time, you must do your own homework. Choose reputable exchanges that are transparent about their business practices and learn how to store your Bitcoin separately and not on any exchange. Now that's all for this video about the Mt. Gox saga. If you would like to continue enjoying more of such fantastic content, be sure to subscribe, give us a like, share the video without forgetting to turn on the notification bell for timely updates of our latest uploads, and join our amazing Telegram group where we talk everything crypto and DeFi. Now, as always guys, stay safe in the DeFi space and have an amazing day.